South Africa hopes to begin the full manufacture of cars and bakkies later next year. This in preparation for commercial production in early 2026. But with so many previously missed deadlines, is the company finally ready to deliver on its promises? Financial Mail's editor-at-large David Furlonger joins us now to bring us up to speed with the Chinese motor company's plans for the SA market. Am I even pronouncing it right? Is it BAIC?
BAIC.
BAIC, okay, all right. Well, let's talk about this reintroduction that BAIC is embarking on and what it means for the company.
Well, it means, if they do it, that they will actually be keeping their word on a deadline for the first time, because they announced an 11 billion rand investment in 2016.
Yeah.
For various reasons, every deadline was missed. By 2022, they should have had capacity for 50,000 vehicles a year. They finally announced a few weeks ago that they'd reached that investment deadline.
Yes.
So they've got capacity for 50,000, but they're not actually building anything. So they are making what they call SKD, which is semi-knocked down vehicles, which is effectively kits. Kits imported from China, which are then assembled on a semi-production line. The 50,000 they talk about is meant to be what they call completely knocked down, which is full manufacture from local components and everything else. But at the moment, they're not doing any of that. So they've made a step forward, but they've still got a long way to go.
What have been the reasons for these delays? Because 2016 was a long time ago.
COVID didn't help, obviously. I mean, the announcement was 2016.
Yes.
2018 was when they started to, when they turned the first sod at
Still
the
2 years before
factory.
COVID. Yeah.
So 2 years before COVID, obviously that delayed them. Other companies, I have to say, managed to get round COVID, but you know, fair enough. It was a delay.
Yes.
There were also problems. Well, let's depend who you ask.
Okay.
BAIC say the local contractors were a problem. The local contractors say BAIC were a problem. So whichever way it was, the actual assembly of the assembly plant was delayed as well. So that was completed, the actual building last year, and now the actual equipment and the robots and everything else is in, but they've got nothing to manufacture at the moment.
Well, it's quite interesting. You talk about the semi-knocked down manufacturing and the complete or completely knocked down manufacturing. Is there pressure for them, significant pressure for them to go from the semi-knocked down to this complete knocked down manufacturing kind of business?
Because they've spent this money, I mean, so far they've spent 4.1 billion.
Yes.
And let's remember also that the South African government's Industrial Development Corporation is the 35% shareholder.
Okay.
So 35% of that 4.1 is coming from the IDC. So yes, there is pressure on BAIC to start manufacturing properly. Yes. But it just doesn't have the volumes to do so. So, for example, this year it's sold just short of 1,500 vehicles. You need many more thousands. I mean, if you look at the smallest manufacturer at the moment, that is Nissan, and it's in a temporary problem because it got rid of its NP200 small bakkie early this year. But if you look at your typical manufacturer, they're doing at least 20, 30, 40,000. You're looking at Toyota and some of the others well over 100,000. BAIC realistically needs at least 10,000, preferably 20,000, for it to become an economic activity. So are those, they're not even close.
Are those low volumes then providing an impediment to them going full on complete knockdown?
If you look at what they're building in kit form at the moment, it's a car called the Beijing X55, which is a very nice vehicle, but they're not selling it in enough numbers. So their first step is that next year they want to build a bakkie by a company called Photon, which is part of the broader BAIC family in China. They're still going to be short there. So now they're going out to other companies and saying, would you like to use our spare capacity for us to build your vehicles as well? I mean, I have no doubt that in the long term, preferably before my great-great-great-great-grandchildren are born, that they will reach the 50,000 and then the 100,000 they've spoken on. I mean, they're talking about the long game.
Yeah.
But it's just a little bit awkward at the moment that they've got this wonderful facility and nothing to do with it.
Well, I mean, what is then the consumer acceptance gauge in terms of accepting BAIC into the automotive landscape when it comes to demand?
When BAIC set out, there was still a very strong market prejudice against Chinese vehicles.
Okay.
Now we've got Chery and we've got Haval and we've got GWM, which is Great Wall Motors. They're doing nice numbers at the moment. I think I've said on this program before that the real tester is going to be when the first-time buyers buy another one because they're satisfied. But I had an interesting conversation yesterday with Wesbank, with the CEO Ghanem Sibi. And he's saying that 26% of their book for new vehicles at the moment is Chinese vehicles.
Oh.
So that prejudice appears to be going very, very quickly. So I've no doubt that in the long term, BAIC will get the numbers they want.
Yeah.
It's just a pity it's going to take so long.
And what flavor will BAIC really add to the competitive landscape here in South Africa from a supply perspective?
If they get it going, and if they meet their 100,000 target in the long term, then it adds 100,000 to the South African new vehicle production market, which takes us closer and closer towards the 1.4 million that the government wants for us to be or at least 1% of the global market. At the moment, we've got a capacity of about 800,000, and we're well short of that actual production at the moment. But if we can get BAIC in with 100,000, if we can get Stellantis in, which is also looking longer term at 100,000, starting off with a Peugeot bakkie, so those two would take our capacity to 1 million. Then if we get one or two more coming in, suddenly what was a long shot does become feasible. But it's not going to happen as quickly as government was hoping.
All right. Well, we will be keeping a close eye on those developments. Thank you so much for your insights today, David. That was David Furlonger, Editor-at-Large for Financial Mail.